US men's national team coming crashing back down to earth last night, losing to Turkey to end their group stages on a bit of a whimper, that's right. But will this be the wake-up call the USA needs, or will they crash out at the first hurdle? We're going to talk about that and much more next. In another video today, we take a look at the Group D encounter between Turkey and USA. That's right. Of course, it closed out Group D in a bit of a weird way. That's right. And we'll talk about that in just a second. If you knew where you've been, smash your subscribe. You want some short for Blackburn Rovers World Cup reviews, and we're reviewing this one, of course, which took place last night. It was a bit of a meaningless game because Turkey are already out, USA already top. What were the small stuff that came out of this that might lead to some future plans, of course, for the Team USA? But we'll get into, of course, that in a second. Big shout out to my members and the patrons. You know who you are. Can we get a cheeky 48 likes on this video? I would appreciate it. But let's get into it then. Talk about it, because Turkey are coming into this nothing on the line for them, just pride, and they actually played without fear. They played with with the freedom that we expected Turkey to deliver here. Of course. Goal fest as well, bit of a goal fest, 5 goals in it, and USA, yeah, they were put under pressure for the first time, and actually, they weren't the greatest last night, were they? Aston Trusty putting the Americans in front on the 3rd minute with a scrappy effort towards from a set piece. Arda Güler, though, got his World Cup account up and running with an equaliser on the 10th minute. Turkey then took the lead through Bal Alsma Yilmaz to put it 2-1 lead. Heading into the second half, and that was, of course, all the critics were out there slamming the USA, but they did come back into it. Sebastian Berhalter leveling on the 49th minute, but it wasn't until plus 8 minutes stoppage time that Can Ayan took the lead for Turkey and gave them all 3 points. The points matters little to Turkey, but they do walk away with some pride, of course, from their USA adventure. As for America, maybe an opportunity to get the monkey off the back. This is the feeling what defeat feels like. So it's something you don't want to feel again, because if you do feel it again, guess what? You're going home. Lessons need to be learned. But let's give credit to the America. They did come back into this game. Turkey are a decent side. I know the performances or the points on the tally don't show that. So this was always going to be the trickiest game. It just was made easier by the USA by their performances earlier in the World Cup, and of course by Turkey's lack of performances in the World Cup. But ultimately, they got a bit of a lesson here. 53% for the Americans, 47% for Turkey. And of course, USA had much more shots to them of Turkey, but they didn't go in the back of the net, did they? Let's take a look then at some of the key personnel involved for this matchup here. Come out to the SoFi Stadium, that's right, last night. 70,000 in attendance to watch Urkan Kakir between the sticks, Abdul and Bakiraki, Ozan Kabach. We had Zeki Silic in the back 3. There was Salah Oskan, Okan Koku, Oscar Arjid, Ayin Elamani, Kilin Yildiz, Arda Güler, and Badis Alpa Yilmaz up top. As for the Americans, they did change it up a fair bit. Matt Turner coming in there, Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie, Austin Trusty, Joe Scally all get the starting lineup. Sebastian Berhalter, Weston McKinney, Timothy Weah, Brendan Aronson, Giovanni Reina, and Ricardo Pepi for USA there. As for the substitutions, they saw the likes of Kalagas Sochu coming on there. He took the armband as well. Meanwhile, Mert Mulder, Can Ayan, Can Özgen, and Ifkan Kalaveki there coming on for Turkey. As for the USA, we did see the likes of Serginho Des, Alex Freeman, Malik Tillman, Alex Zenadias, and Christian Pulisic, of course, the prodigal son, returning to the USA team to try and get themselves a winner, but ultimately couldn't get there over the line. It was a bit of a chess match, this one, with Turkey's players stepping up. The performance 7.16. Güler with 8.6 performance man of the match for him. Berhalter got himself an 8.2 for the USA. McKinney also did himself no harm. And Trusty as well with the goal as well. But question marks around the goalkeeper and maybe the supporting cast there. Timothy Weah. As for Turkey, they're a decent team. They're just a little hard done by with their performances. And if you do look back at the record books or the stats books there, Turkey did give themselves a chance. They just couldn't break down those defensive units of Paraguay and Australia. And unfortunately, that's the difference, though. USA took their chances, I guess. Both Australia, well, definitely Paraguay tried to play against the USA and got found out a little bit. Whereas when they played against Turkey, it was more about defensive football. And ultimately, It's tough to break some of these teams down. Quick look at this game, though. USA did dominate, as you see, which is a good, encouraging sign for the US. But it is all about putting the ball in the back of the net. So maybe Turkey, didn't have to raise their game because they kind of were in control. And they did, did what a lot of coaches would tell you. Do not switch off. You do not switch off at the 90-minute mark. You play to the end, play to the whistle, play to the final thing. And USA did that, and they got the winner in the 8th minute of stoppage time. Where are we going now? Where are we going now? Let's take a look at some of the comments that are made online. Some of these disgruntled fans. Some Turkish fans as well. This is Daria. We exposed these frauds who thought they were world champions just because they beat Australia and Paraguay. Meanwhile, Football Sport said, meaningless game for both of us, but this proves that we have no reliable backup players. 50% of the squad should never touch the pitch. Judy Ash said, disappointing result, but tournaments are all about momentum swings. One good performance in the knockout stage and nobody will remember this game. William Petty said, this makes our match versus Bosnia-Herzegovina much more important. We need Pulisic on the field at all times. We get it. This game gave us time to give our key players a little rest before the knockout rounds. Come on, USA. And Spencer Abigo said, no one should take any negatives out of this game at all. Mauricio Pochettino transformed the US men's national team so much. 9 changes and still came up with this kind of performance, especially in the second half. That's very commendable. Maybe it's a little bit commendable, but what about you guys? Well, you did expect the USA to win this game, so I think we got that one wrong. Turkey, of course, expected to, 21% of the vote. 6% went with the draw. As for the ping pong balls, it went with the draw. As for the cat, though, she knows ball, man. I tell you now, she knows ball. She got it right with Turkey. And, of course, we'll have the last laugh, I would imagine. Looking at last laughs, this is, of course, the last table in Group D. USA top the chart, 6 points for them. No perfect record, but, of course, get your losses out of your way now. As for Australia, they also make it through ahead of Paraguay, courtesy of that 0-0 draw. Paraguay are in waiting, limbo land right now. I think it should be enough. But we're going to have to wait and see. As for Turkey, they'll have to go again. One of these days, the real Turkey will show up. If you are keeping track of the third place movements, as you can see, Paraguay are in 4th place right now. Looking good at the moment, but still a bunch of football to be played. I'll have to wait and see what goes on in those respective games. Meanwhile, as for Team USA and Australia, they are in the knockout stages. Of course, it's finally USA here. They, of course, got Bosnia-Herzegovina. That is confirmed game. Now, of course, they've landed in a nice spot of the USA because the winner of that will take on the winner of this one, of course, for a place in the quarterfinals. And that's when, of course, it will get sticky with the likes of maybe Portugal or Spain meeting them along the way. But they are in a tricky side of the bracket once it gets past Spain, as they'll take on likelihood France here, or maybe the Dutch, because they also look red hot at the moment. But anyway, that is it. Of course, USA end with a defeat, the group stage. Turkey will go home with a bit of a smile on the face, a bit of a smirk maybe. But of course, they will be that's where their World Cup ends. As for USA, they're back right in the hot seat to take on Bosnia-Herzegovina. And we'll preview that game very, very soon. But until then, subscribe, smash like. I'll catch you all later. But until then, we are done.